Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving headfirst into a sequence of events that literally turned a cozy, picture-perfect suburban evening into a high-stakes, true crime thriller. And you know, what makes this particular case so fascinating is how vividly it all unfolds. Honestly, it plays out almost like you're watching a highly detailed, gripping 3D animation. We're going to break down exactly how a seemingly safe neighborhood became the epicenter of a massive mystery, looking at the evidence, the timelines, and the incredible detective work that cracked the whole thing wide open. So, picture this. You're sitting alone in your living room. The sun has just set, casting those warm, comforting evening colors across your house. Everything is calm. Then, out of nowhere, the lighting in the room shifts. The lamps flicker, your phone starts buzzing like crazy on the coffee table, flashing a totally unknown caller ID. You pick it up, and you just hear these terrifying words. "Look outside your window, Emily. I'm watching you." It's this moment of pure, cinematic suspense that absolutely shatters the illusion of safety.
Section 1. A midnight call. Let's take a look at how a perfectly normal evening for Emily, a 28-year-old incredibly kind teacher, actually set the stage for this mystery.
Just moments before she went inside her house, Emily's neighbor, Sarah, called out this super warm, friendly farewell. It's the exact kind of neighborhood banter you'd expect in any quiet town, right? But looking back, wow, it acts as some incredibly heavy foreshadowing. Lock your doors well tonight. That was literally the very last normal interaction Emily had before the nightmare kicked off.
It really begs the question, what would you actually do if the safety of your own home was just suddenly compromised? We see this immediate emotional shift in Emily. She doesn't just freeze up in fear. She actively demands to know who is playing games with her. At this point, she's completely unaware of the gravity of the situation and what's about to happen. It's just a very raw, deeply human reaction to a sudden invasion of privacy.
Part 2. The mysterious disappearance. The timeline jumps right to the very next morning, where the community quickly realizes something is terribly, deeply wrong.
We transition away from that dark, suspenseful house to a brightly lit school hallway. But those bright lights don't bring any comfort at all. Instead, we're met with this stark reality: an empty classroom. Emily is known by all her coworkers as an incredibly reliable teacher. I mean, she is never late. But today, there are only unanswered calls and an empty desk. The visual contrast between this cheerful school environment and the dark reality of her absence is just staggering.
You know how tension can spread like wildfire? That's exactly what happens here. Her coworker's nervous energy turns into serious, actionable worry. The principal doesn't wait around for things to play out. Sensing the immediate danger, they pick up the phone and call the police. A very real, heavy sense of foreboding just settles over the entire school. The narrative escalates rapidly here, shifting from, a missing person worry to an active, urgent emergency response. Part 3. Tracing the clues. The scene totally shifts now as police cruisers pull up, red and blue lights flashing against the quiet suburban homes. The perimeter gets secured with yellow tape, and the real investigation kicks into high gear. Detectives start reading this crime scene like a book. They find muddy boot prints right away. They spot trace evidence in the doorway. But the most terrifying deduction actually comes from the front door itself. The lock wasn't broken. Because there was zero sign of forced entry, Emily almost certainly knew the person who walked into her home. Which brings us straight to the interrogation room. We've got this nervous suspect sitting under a harsh light, swearing up and down they were home watching TV alone. But the detective, totally calm and collected, drops an absolute bombshell. Your phone location history says something entirely different. It's this perfect, brutal clash between a desperate lie and cold, hard digital data. And while that intense interrogation is going down, forensic scientists in the lab are analyzing trace evidence. Just a quick refresher, trace evidence is those microscopic physical materials, like DNA and clothing fibers, that could transfer during a crime. Well, they analyze the materials from Emily's doorway and get a hit on their monitors. An exact DNA match. This scientific proof completely backs up the detective's theory. The perpetrator was absolutely someone close to the victim. Part 4. The courtroom confrontation. The atmosphere shifts to this grand, dramatic courtroom setting, and the emotional weight of the entire story builds to a massive climax.
The prosecution wastes zero time presenting their undeniable evidence. They bring a nervous but absolutely rock-solid witness to the stand who delivers a crushing blow. I saw someone suspicious leaving her house around 9 p.m. I recognized the jacket. I'm 100% sure. Even under immense pressure from the defense, this witness does not break. That single piece of eyewitness testimony completely shatters the suspect's story.
So look at how this creates an unbreakable timeline. At 8 p.m., the suspect claims to be home alone. But right in the middle of that window, at 9 p.m., the witness spots them leaving Emily's house. By midnight, the suspect's alibi window has fully closed. This timeline perfectly maps the suspect's actual movements and directly contradicts their fabricated story. It literally corners them with pure logic. But listen, eyewitnesses and phone pings are just the warm-up for the final smoking gun. The detective presents a large digital screen to the courtroom showing actual video footage. The entire room gasps as the absolute truth of that night plays out visually. The tension breaks, and the suspect, completely out of options, is forced to confess, desperately claiming it was just an accident.
Part 5. Achieving Justice. With the truth fully exposed for everyone to see, that dramatic courtroom tension finally gives way to a heavy, emotional resolution. The judge slams the gavel down, guilty on all counts. You can practically feel the profound sense of relief and closure for Emily's family as the officer takes the defendant away. There are tears, sure, but the system worked. The truth actually prevailed.
We step out of the courtroom and into a peaceful memorial park at sunset. It's quiet, surrounded by colorful flowers, and it reflects this incredibly beautiful, enduring message about community strength, the importance of truth, and the absolute necessity of justice. It's a genuinely hopeful ending, born out of a terrible tragedy.
So, that leaves us with one final, lingering thought. If a muddy boot print, a digital ping, and a brave witness can speak for the silenced, what other untold stories are waiting to be uncovered? What silent clues are all around us right now, every single day, just waiting for someone to notice? I'll leave you to think about the hidden depths of our own neighborhoods. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, stay curious.